Growing up, my life was so happy and comfortable and safe and extremely secure. Imagine really just the perfect upbringing. You know, my mom and dad were involved in everything we did. Family dinners every night, prayers before bed every night.
We knew growing up, Dad was there for us and Mom was there for us. Yeah. We felt that protection.
It was just always a joy to share my life with the three gifts that the Lord gave to me.
My sister and I became best friends with siblings, and it just so happened to be that their mom also worked up at the school. They were a good family. The kids were good, the wife was good. You know, my best friend's father, he didn't look like what you would think is a typical child predator. He lived in a good neighborhood, he had a good job.
He just appeared to be just the most helpful man, a problem solver.
I didn't want my family hurting. I didn't want my family to feel the betrayal and the pain that I felt. The sexual abuse was, you know, not just one time, but it was multiple times and for many years. I didn't want my best friend finding out that their father is really a monster.
We began to see the changes in Jenna. She began gaining weight. She began dressing darkly. Her grades dropped dramatically. I knew that my daughter was going through changes, but she was also entering, of course, puberty and moving into her teenage years, where she used to love for me to hug and snuggle. She totally rejected hugs. When her hair began falling out and she had terrible insomnia, they thought perhaps it was her thyroid. They gave her sleeping medication. And then I had her academically tested, but I didn't know what was wrong with Jenna. I asked her, Jenna, what's happening? Is there somebody who's bullying you? And she says, no, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine.
We did not suspect anything at all.
And we never even considered sexual abuse being a possibility.
We always had a close relationship. I was concerned when I came back from college during that holiday break when I was in town. I was, running and chasing you and saying, I'm gonna get you. And you turned around and you snapped at me. And it was then that I realized something is wrong. And so I took you to lunch and just felt this inner need,
this urge.
This urge. I just listened to this inner pit, this urge in me that said, ask her, what's going on? Your tears, you immediately crying, was the indicator to me, okay, got my answer.
Yeah.
What now is it? And so when you told me, it was just heartbreaking. And I was not ready for what you told me. I was not ready to be, told that our best friend's father was hurting you and being criminal and abusing you. But at the same time, I knew I had to be there for you, I had to be strong for you, and I had to believe you.
And you did all the right things without, having any training on how to respond or how to report.
Stephanie called a family meeting that night, and we'd never had a formal family meeting called before. And so, I thought, okay, we were all curious, so we all gathered. And she said, Mom and Dad, Jenna has something to tell you. And you got very quiet. And then you prompted her again.
Come on, you gotta tell them. Get it out.
Mom and Dad, Jenna has something to tell you.
Yeah.
And when you told us, you also had the right response, which I can see now was orchestrated the way it needed to be orchestrated. You knew to call the police because your father stood up.
Yeah.
He was ready to go pay a visit to the perpetrator's home.
Yeah.
But Stephanie said, Dad, sit down. We're going to call the police.
I remember your face, you were like kind of just deer in the headlights, like, well, now it's in the open.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows. Let's just, take it literally hour to hour. And I think, children need to know that is so important, that what happened to you, it's first of all wrong. Second of all, not okay to ever happen again to you. And third of all, it's a crime.
Yes.
One of the things that surprises me is that we teach children at school how to respond in a fire. Stop, drop and roll. Well, how often are children in a fire? Not very often. But yet sexual abuse statistics show us 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18. But yet, where are the preventative measures to identify a grooming in process, or a place for a child who may be already experiencing sexual abuse to have a place to make an outcry, to say, yes, this is happening to me, and we can talk about it.
I feel like it's still a taboo topic.
After the police left our home, we were instructed to go to the hospital where you were given a SANE examination, sexual abuse nurse examination. And while we were at the hospital's ER room, next to my chair was a little pamphlet, the 12 signs of somebody who's being sexually abused. I took a pen out of my purse and I began to check off all of the symptoms that I had seen and did not understand in you. If somebody had just put this pamphlet into my hand when I was going through the years of confusion, not knowing what to do for you, if I had only been trained as an educator, as a teacher, that these are signs and symptoms of a child who's being sexually abused, I could have at least prevented it from happening as long as it was happening. My husband and I received counseling at the Children's Advocacy Center. At the end of first session, my husband and I walked out and looked at each other and we said, I haven't felt this empowered or this emotionally well since we started the journey. It was a safe place for my husband to cry. And also it helped us to understand what you were going through, and it helped us to react and to build you up and to support you in ways that we would not have known if we didn't have the counseling services at the Advocacy Center.
Now it's been 20 years, and for the last 20 years, it has clearly been a mission for me to be able to share my story through the lens of hope, help put laws in place like Jenna's law that require body safety conversations, that require teachers and educators to be trained on how to recognize and how to report specifically child sexual abuse. It has been a really beautiful thing to see how something so tragic has been able to turn into something that's been life-saving truly for children and youth all over the country.